Countries are cool and everything, but what would they be without the cities, towns, villages, and all kinds of settlements that littered them? While all these settlements may have different names, well, more or less, what's interesting is that there are certain elements of settlement names that appear in many names, most noticeably certain suffixes that crop up in many settlement names. Why do many place names share similar suffixes, and what do they mean? And of course, there are many of these, so this video won't be covering all of them, I'm afraid, but rather the more prominent ones, and especially the ones of the English-speaking world, as they are what I am more familiar with. However, there will be suffixes of other languages covered thanks to all the suggestions you guys left me. Thank you all. So, why did these elements of language pop up so often? Well, I guess that will make more sense when we look into them, as these suffixes usually refer to specific features of that area. A great example of this will be with the suffix of muff, like we see with Portsmouth, Plymouth, and Bournemouth, to name a few. This suffix refers to a place as the mouth of a river or large opening of water, hence why the majority of places with this suffix are by water. Another example would be the dale suffix, like in Rochdale, which is an Old English word for a valley. The mouth places I just covered are all UK based. Well, there's others in the US and other places, but I think that's more due to the whole British Empire thing. However, here in the UK we have loads of place suffixes that pop up all over the country. What's interesting about these is how they're geographically laid out. Take the Cester suffix as an example. Most of these appear in the South and Midlands of England, like with Winchester, Chichester, Leicester, Gloucester, etc. This comes from Latin meaning camp. It makes sense this comes from Latin, and it would mainly be in the more southern side of England, as the Romans with their Latin would have come into the nation via the south. While the B suffix is Norse meaning settlement or village, and can be seen in Derby and Grimsby, which are all northern and where the Vikings would have entered the nation from, though this doesn't line up perfectly with Manchester using a variation of the Ester suffix being in the north, and Rugby being more southern than Leicester, so my hypothesis might not work out perfectly, but it's an interesting quirk. One that pops up often too is Brie, like we see of Glastonbury and Canterbury. This suffix means fortified enclosure. What's interesting about the Brie suffix is that it has changed over time, becoming bra, bruh, and bruh. These suffixes are so weird to pronounce if you're just doing them on their own, as we see with Middlesbrough and Edinburgh up in Scotland. However, what's interesting about this is that across the pond in the USA, this suffix has changed pronunciation to become Berg, like we see with Pittsburgh and Gettysburg. In fact, Gettysburg has taken it a step further and changed the spelling to be more phonetic to this pronunciation. There's even a new Edinburgh in Ottawa, Canada, and this name is often pronounced as Edinburgh as opposed to its native Scottish pronunciation. A lot of these common suffixes, however, just mean city or town in other languages, which have gone on to be used in English. Like with ville, which was originally French/Latin, we see this stateside with places like Knoxville, Gainesville, and Charlottesville. We also have the Greek term for city, which has been picked up in America, polis, a suffix seen in Minneapolis and Indianapolis. What about in the non-English speaking world? Well, like I said, you guys were amazing and left loads and loads of suggestions. Sorry we won't be covering all of these, perhaps we can do another one of these in the future. Anyway, let's look at the Dutch suffix of dam, like we see in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Leerdam. The dam in these names reference how these cities are built by or across bodies of water, in the same way we and beavers use dams. While most prominent with Stockholm, the holm suffix is not only found in Sweden but other northern European countries too, like with the Danish Bornholm and the German Danholm. This word element comes from the Old Norse holma, meaning small island, which of course makes sense as Stockholm is a city built on islands. The German Danholm is literally just an island in the Baltic Sea. Finally, I want to cover the Slavic grad. The grad part of these names simply mean things like town or city. Places with grad in their name can be found in countries like Bulgaria with Zlatograd. In Croatia with Biograd, there's a municipality. Let me just check how to say that. I've forgotten.
Municipality.
There's a municipality in Slovenia just called Grad, and of course there's the many grads of Russia, Kaliningrad, Petrograd, Leningrad. However, those last two names are different names for the same city, which is now called St. Petersburg. However, that's a story that can be saved for another time. Settlement suffixes were suggested by Deborah Spears, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of settlement suffixes. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Name Explain depends on small monthly donations from fans like you to help keep the channel running. Just the small amount of $2 a month helps out in a huge way, grants you weekly Name Explain extras, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.